Very much for joining us. Well, your reaction to Mama's death?
No, well, we as the EFF send our deepest condolences to the family of Mama Winnie Mandela and to the ANC for the passing away of the struggle stalwart, a veteran in the liberation struggle, because she has played a significant role in the war against apartheid. She never left the country, even when the apartheid regime pushed her to do so. They arrested her several times, they punished her, they did everything, they banned her, they illegalized her, they declared her persona non grata here in South Africa. But not even once she ever thought of fleeing South Africa. She instead remained and anchored the key campaigns that happened in South Africa. Like, you will know that the youth uprising in 1976, amongst others, was inspired by her. That is why, after 1976, the apartheid government arrested her without any trial. They just detained her without trial and criminalized her. And even in the 80s, she was the inspiration behind the United Democratic Front. She was the inspiration behind the roaring young lions that declared apartheid ungovernable and the machinery unworkable, because they looked up to her. She was the anchor behind the Free Mandela campaign, which was one of the most successful global campaigns calling for the release of Nelson Mandela. So she played a significant role in South Africa's liberation. And you would know that when apartheid wanted to now capitulate to the demands for true political freedom, their first contact with the ANC was through Mama Mandela. You will know that Kubi Kutse in 1985 had contact with her, and she referred him that if you want to engage with the ANC, you must speak to Nelson Mandela, you must speak to the leaders that you have exiled, that you have declared illegal. So the formal negotiations for apartheid to come to an end were started through contact with the Mama Mandela. And we salute her for the role that she has played in bringing about freedom to South Africa. And she got to appreciate when she was saying, even now after the passing away of Ahmed Kathrada, that the struggle is not yet finished. South Africa is in a crisis, that the ANC is failing to fulfill what it had promised the people of South Africa when it took over political power. You would know that the ANC promised the people of South Africa that it's going to implement all the ideals of the Freedom Charter, and it is particularly failing to do so currently. That is why the EFF is the only political formation that is taking the struggle forward, is taking the baton from the generation of freedom fighters that had declared during her time that they're going to attain freedom in their lifetime, and we're saying economic freedom in our lifetime.
What do you think distinguished Winnie Mandela from other ANC leaders?
Look, she was much more engaging. She was not petty. Like, there are very few struggle stalwarts in the ANC who would openly associate with the economic freedom fighters leaders. You correctly point out that when she celebrated the 80th birthday, she invited the entire leadership of the EFF. But the national chairperson and the president of the EFF, the commander-in-chief, attended with some members of the Central Command team and members, a lot of them, of the EFF in the Western Cape, because the birthday celebrations were happening there. And when Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi celebrated his doctoral degree, now recently, she came to Orange Farm to say that let us celebrate together. And she actually stood up and, before she spoke, said, "Viva the economic freedom fighters." Very few political leaders carried the maturity to could appreciate the phenomenon of the economic freedom fighters. Most of them become dismissive and say, no, this is a reckless group of people. But she was always willing to engage openly with the leadership of the EFF. We salute her for that. We salute that she was not a petty leader. She was always willing to engage. She would, of course, advance her views in terms of what she thinks should happen. She strongly believed that we should wage the economic freedom struggle within the ANC. That is why even when we were expelled and suspended from the ANC, she came to testify against those that were calling for our suspension and expulsion, to say that she has lived with many people who are now world heroes. She has seen Oliver Tambo in his early age. She has seen Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu. She has seen Duma Nokwe. She had seen all those leaders. She had seen Robert Risha when they were as militant as we were when we were in the ANC Youth League. And she advised the ANC Youth League, and the ANC in particular at that time, that don't go that route because it is not sustainable. Instead, nurture leaders within your own organization because they represent the future. They represent what South Africa will be in the immediate future. And she was correct. We are in pursuit of the economic freedom struggle, correctly outside of the Congress movement, and we're in pursuit of the struggle, which we know for sure she fully approved of.
But in the conversations you had, numerous conversations that you had with her, she told you that you would perhaps be better off waging your struggle within and not outside of the ANC.
There was never a definite moment where she would push that we should go back to the ANC. She would, in many instances, appreciate the conditions that the ANC is existing under, that she would appreciate the circumstances that define the ANC. She should appreciate that the ANC is no longer the weapon in the hands of the oppressed people of South Africa. She should appreciate that the ANC is just an instrument for self-enrichment, for people that wants to get richer quicker or die trying doing so. So it's one of the things that she got to appreciate. So even when she would say that the ANC is a correct platform, but whenever would bring her to update on what is exactly happening in the current ANC, she should appreciate that perhaps the EFF is a correct platform to pursue the struggles for economic emancipation in our lifetime, in a manner in which we'll explain it. So there was never a moment where she would say, go to the ANC, or we'll never relate with you, we'll never interact with you. She would, of course, because she's an ANC, she was an ANC member, she would say that this is a platform that took us from a lot of suffering in the past, but admitted that currently it is failing to bring about economic emancipation to benefit all the South Africans, particularly the landless masses of our people who are still economically excluded and exploited by the capitalist system that defines South Africa under the ANC government.
Did she ever tell you why she preferred to pursue the struggle that she had always committed to within the ANC, even when she felt and told you and other people that the ANC has betrayed its mission of existence?
You would know that the leadership of the EFF, the entirety of the leadership of the EFF, the Commander-in-Chief in particular, publicly said that we will never expect Mama Winnie Mandela to come and join the EFF. She has lived the ANC for the whole life, her whole life. She has been at the forefront of the struggle for her whole life. It will be unfair to expect her to now join into an organization that is representing a new generational struggle of economic emancipation in her lifetime. We actually appreciated that she should remain in the ANC, even if she had asked for membership of the EFF, as the EFF leadership would have advised that it is perhaps appropriate that you remain in the ANC as the organization that has nurtured you for all these years. For many years, more than 50 years of fighting against apartheid, you should remain there and fight internally until the complete end. But we are young people who are not impatient with an organization that makes a massive and spectacular blunders as the ANC does. That is why the EFF becomes a natural progression as a successor of the liberation struggle and is taking up the baton to fight towards total economic emancipation of the people of South Africa.
If you believe that you are the custodians of what the ANC was supposed to do as encapsulated in the Freedom Charter, why would you have advised a Winnie Mandela not to form part of your organization? After all, we are in the game of politics.
Look, we do not play narrow politics of quick gains, of what do we get now, what do we not get tomorrow. We know, we said at the beginning when the EFF was founded in 2013 that we are in pursuit of a generational mission. Actually, the founding manifesto of the EFF starts with a quotation of Frantz Fanon that says that each generation has got a mission and has got a responsibility to either betray or fulfill it. And then we then say, as the EFF, we have chosen as this generation to pursue a generational mission, which is economic emancipation in our lifetime. We wouldn't want to go and revive the former freedom fighters and liberation fighters to come and fight this battle. We want to take it on ourselves and fight until the logical conclusion. And we're excellently doing so as the EFF currently. We're in pursuit of a struggle for economic emancipation. Majority, if not all, of the issues that we said at the beginning are beginning to find expression in mainstream politics in Parliament. Parliament has recently resolved that we should pursue expropriation of land without compensation, because that has been said by the EFF. If the EFF was not in existence, such was not going to find expression in Parliament. Fee-free education is becoming a reality gradually, because the EFF has been speaking about it. It has inspired a generation of fighters in universities, in the Fees Must Fall movement, that got to fight relentlessly for fee-free education because of what we stand for. There are so many issues that are resolutions of the EFF which are beginning to find expression in mainstream society: the nationalization of the Reserve Bank, the creation of a capable state bank that is going to provide financial services to our people. Those are policy positions of the EFF. We spoke recently about the creation of a sovereign wealth fund. It is in the founding manifesto of the EFF. Recently, the 54th conference of the ANC takes the same resolution because they're learning from us, because we represent some degree of ideological and political superiority in terms of what we stand for. And we do not want to rely on those that fought for political liberation to bring about economic emancipation. They've dismally failed. They were given the responsibility. We appreciate their role that they have played in bringing about an end to apartheid. But this struggle belongs to us, and we're going to fight until the logical conclusion.
Floyd Shivambu, thanks very much for talking to us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
He is, of course, the Deputy President of the Economic Freedom Fighters.